So what if the success of your imaginal act has absolutely nothing to do with how confident you feel or how believing you feel while you're actually doing it? Does that surprise you? I mean, what if I was to tell you that it's not even your job to feel certain about it? Your only job actually is to decree it, to decide it, to choose. And many of you, of course, have been taught about the importance of surrender and faith, right? But it's not easy to do that from a place that is anxious, doubtful, unconfident mind, is it? I mean, especially if you're new to this. Or maybe you're manifesting something that really means a lot to you and you've got more of those doubts swimming in your head and you're really finding it difficult to just surrender and have this faith, right? Well, this video is dedicated to you, right? And I'm going to teach you all how to seize your desires rather than surrender. I'm here to tell you as well that confidence, it's not something that you're going to find. It's actually something that you forge. I think many of you are waiting and expecting and hoping that you're going to get this unwavering confidence. Because of course, as well, the way that it's taught sometimes, yeah, we can come across really, really confident. But you need to understand that confidence in your manifestation, it's not a prerequisite. It's a byproduct. That's a big, big difference. And this is where a lot of you are getting tripped up, because all of you are forgetting that your doubt is loud. Yes, it is loud, it is annoying, but the law is silent. It often works silently and it's always, always working for you. But don't worry, do not worry, do not despair, because by the end of this video, you're not only going to understand why the conventional advice of having that confidence, that unwavering doubt, why all of that is holding you back, but I'm also going to share with you a really powerful alchemical blueprint, essentially, that's going to help you to build the kind of like unshakable, tried and tested confidence that makes all of your desires inevitable. Would you like that? I'm going to share it all with you here because, you know, let's be honest, there's many of us right now desiring for many, many different things. Some of you are desiring things about love, your specific person, your financial freedom, your vibrant health, abundance, and you're trying to feel this real, you're trying to connect with it, but there's a pit in your stomach, a kind of little, I don't know, sickness or doubt or anxiety that kind of venomously tells you, right, yeah, but my God, you know, this feels so far-fetched, right? My circumstance, how the hell, I cannot see how my circumstances are going to change to make this a reality. This feels really fake. Am I just deluding myself? What if this is all for nothing, right? What if this is all for nothing? It doesn't happen. You know, I tried to feel it, but it's just forced. And now I feel worse than before. Many of you could be having these sorts of doubts and worries. I know that it happened to me many times on this journey. Like I said, been on this journey, God knows, like well over 20 years now, 24 years roughly. And you know, I'm speaking from experience, not just of esoteric knowledge, but my knowledge of psychology, particularly modalities of NLP, CBT, and hypnosis. So I'm going to share this very special blueprint with you in this video. And I'm going to say to you guys, look, don't worry yourself with doubts. Don't worry yourself with the comparisons that you might be making to other people's successes that you hear of. I don't want you to question yourself and to think that you have failed just because you're struggling to find the confidence in occupying the state. You're struggling to keep hold of it, right? You're struggling to feel positive all the time. Don't feel like you've failed, because for a lot of you, you've just been given a very flawed map to your desires. But I'm going to give you this very precise, it's a 3-step protocol. This is what this Alchemical Blueprint is all about. It's going to be 3 steps. And you're going to learn all sorts of things from it, right? You're going to learn a simple but powerful method that's going to help you to build confidence that's based on actual evidence and not wishful thinking, right? We're going to build your personal case file of success. And that, of course, is going to build your confidence naturally. And then after that, I'm going to give you the exact mental tools to use every time you have a wave of doubt or feeling fake, every time that kind of hits you. So essentially, you never end up sabotaging your efforts again. And I'm going to teach you how that discomfort that you might be feeling right now is actually progress, not failure. And finally, the 3rd step of it is going to be to help you to discover the key of how to make any imaginal act that you use to help you to embody the state, any imaginal act, I'm going to give you the key to make it feel natural, make it feel more believable, make you feel more connected to it, even if at the moment your current end goal feels like it's miles away from you, feels like it's impossible, feels like it's so far-fetched, right? So stick with me, because there's so many juicy gems in this video. I want you to collect them all. And those of you destined for success, of course, are subscribed to this channel. You've been feeding back to me your incredible successes. I see it in the comments as well, guys. I love you. Those of you who like the video before it's even been posted. I've had a few of my clients going, yeah, I'm one of those people. I like the video. I love you guys. I adore you. But I've been getting so many of your comments as well. I watch, I see, I listen. Where you're like, since you've discovered this channel, so much has changed. You're implementing it. You're getting loads of success. This is what I want to see. All of you are destined for success, right? All of you are, and you know it. And how can you not be destined for success? Particularly when I give you this blueprint today, right? So take your time. It's Friday. Sit back, relax. Grab yourself a hot drink if you haven't done so already. This is how we do it here. And cheers to all of you, to all of us. My lip gloss. Cheers. I don't edit my videos for those of you new here, so you'll probably see a lot of little bloopers and crazy things that I get up to and where my mind goes. But this is to all of you, to all your success, and to all of you having a very wonderful, magical weekend. Very nice. On the rooibos tea. There you go for my Dutch and South African friends. I didn't forget. I pronounced it right now. So the reason I came across the idea to do this video is, I think it's the inspiration that I get from my Discord community. And I do my live group workshop every Sunday. And I was asking everybody what they wanted to do for a group hypnosis. And it seemed the general consensus was about confidence, being confident in your desire, stepping into your ultimate desire, where you do not feel like you waver, where you don't doubt, where you understand that everything is working for you. And that's what brought it to my attention, that actually this was such a big issue for so many people. And this, of course, draws us back to the work, the core foundation of what myself and my partner, my SP that I manifested, Joseph Ally. This is the kind of stuff that we live. This is the kind of stuff that we've road tested for years, not just with our own lives taken into account, but also all of our clients that we have worked with, ones that have come to us or ones that have actually been sent to us, even by other coaches. A couple of you have told me lately that you've been sent to me by other coaches, because sometimes the surface level approaches and that are not enough to get to the deep-rooted issues, the deep-rooted traumas. And I understand this. And the truth of the matter is, guys, I think in a lot of this, we're taught about positive thinking and trying to keep, upbeat. I mean, impossible. Certainly when girls, when it's a full moon for some of us girlies, maybe even for some of you guys out there as well. We're not always going to be positive thinking. We're going to have your doubts, your worries. But what you seriously need is actually positive testing. Now, confidence, it might surprise a lot of you, but confidence is the result of evidence. If you think about it, you didn't go into your first day at a job feeling confident necessarily, but after a while of doing the role, you felt very, very confident, right? As soon as you started to collate the evidence that, yeah, I'm good at this, I'm getting good feedback, boss is telling me I'm great, right? Colleagues just want to sit next to me all the time. But the thing is, when it comes to the law, you guys are expecting and being tough on yourself about your lack of confidence. And the fatal flaw that I've noticed in many people's current approaches is that you're waiting for evidence on the 3D world to appear before you'll even allow yourself to feel confident. So we need to flip this on its head, and we need to create the evidence internally first. Remember, you're the evidence anyway, and looking out there and waiting out there for your SP to text you or email you or take you out on a date or for the money to start flowing in is just going to be a very disempowering position to put you in, and you could end up stuck forever, which is what a lot of people are doing. They're stuck in this never-ending loop for God knows how long. So this is the simple foundational law, right? On this channel and on Joseph's as well, as you've seen, it's to test the law. Test the law to prove the law. That's what it is. Test the law to prove the law. Because if you're told, just believe, you've got to believe, right? You've got to persist in the techniques with blind faith. But I'm not telling you guys to do that. Today, I'm going to tell you guys to just be the scientist in your own laboratory of consciousness and start to gather the data that makes belief irrelevant. And the data is going to forge a knowing that no external bit of doubt can shatter. That's power, right? That's how you really get in tune with your I amness, your true self. Because essentially, to question your power is to curse your inheritance. That's right. I said it. So stop questioning yourself. Of course, I understand it. Not many of you even understand the potential of your power, what you're capable of. And that's why testing it is so important. The idea that you've got to feel confident even before you begin is actually absurd, because it's no different to telling, I don't know, like a blacksmith that don't strike that hot iron until you feel confident that you're going to be able to forge the perfect sword in doing so. I mean, it doesn't make sense, does it? The confidence is going to come from the act of striking it, feeling the hammer connect, seeing the metal start to bend, right? Blow by blow. Each strike is a positive test. And that's what I'm inviting you all to do here. Because if you think about it, there weren't any spiritual masters that ever said, wait for certainty and true belief before you dare to assume it, right? Neville Goddard didn't actually go around saying, yes, I want you to feel unwavering confidence and then, only then will your wish be fulfilled. No. I know many people are out there going, yes, I manifested with unwavering confidence. I mean, we don't have to. It's great if you got it, but we don't have to. You see, all Neville had said was that an assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. Many of you have heard that quote from Neville. An assumption, although false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. Jot it down if you need to keep that in your mind, right? That's all you're doing. It's an assumption. I don't have evidence to it. An assumption is something I make, I decide, even if I don't have evidence to prove it. That's what the assumption is. The belief happens after, when I've got the evidence. Do you get it? So the persistence is the test, and the confidence is going to be the hardened fact that emerges afterwards. But you see, many of you are letting your doubts and your anxieties get the better of you. And you've got to stop that. There's no other way about it. You've got to stop that. I've done a whole video about doubt in great detail. If doubts are really getting on top of you, I recommend you watch that, because you're all treating your doubt like it's something sacred, when in fact it's just garbled noise, and you don't owe your doubts anything. So the big question is, how do we do this, right? How do we essentially become the blacksmith of our own belief? Well, I'm going to give you the 3 steps right now so that all of you can forge unshakable manifestation confidence. This is the protocol. So you might want to take some notes or jot it down in the comments section, because I love seeing the quotes and the learnings that you've taken away from these videos. That's why you guys are getting success. You're letting it seep in, you're understanding it. This is detailed, these 3 steps, so pay attention. This is going to get you to that unwavering place of confidence. So you've got step number 1. This is what I call call it whatever you want. Call it the alchemist logbook even. But this is where you're going to be documenting your causative acts. And I've been doing it more too. You see, like Joseph got me little notebook, because him and his documenting everything. Right, I'm not this organized, but like I said, I've been doing it for many years. So your first step with this, if you've got your alchemist notebook, right, the first step is going to be to shift your definition of what evidence is. Because you guys are all, like I say, you're waiting on the outer evidence, you're waiting for the text, or you're waiting for the Ferrari to land in your lap before you even deem yourself a success. But every single time that if you thought of it differently and thought, well, every single time that I sort of step into an imaginal act, every single time that I just feel out the reality of my wish being filled, just because I dare to, just because whatever, I'm cocky enough to do that, okay? Then that in itself is a causative act. You're not going to treat these imaginal acts you have in the way that you've been programmed to treat them, i.e. just a figment of your imagination. You know, I don't want you to treat these techniques as some mindless thing that you do, some sort of robotic act that you're just going to do without any sort of intention, right? You're going to be doing that forever to try and get results. But if you change your perception on what evidence actually is, if you understand that this is you, and you might even want to write this down particularly, but this is you. You, as the conscious creator, you are impressing your will upon the subconscious. Every time I imagine, I'm impressing my will upon the subconscious. I'm imprinting on it, okay? You think about it like that. It gives you a sense of power, a sense of intention. This is what I'm doing. This is why I'm doing it, right? And the subconscious, you want to do that because the subconscious is the universal substance from which all things are born, the womb of creation. So this is going to bring me back around to why I'm so relentless with you guys about sharing your success stories. You see, there is method to my madness, and many of you have been, but I work with so many of you who haven't, who have got amazing success stories that you're sitting on. And it's only until I bring them up that you sort of realize how successful you actually are. But for you guys to understand the core strategic component of why I ask you to do that is because I want you to see that you've already got a history, a backlog of success. That is your most powerful asset. If you've got doubts, if you think that you don't believe in your power, or you're questioning the law, or you're questioning yourself and your abilities, you're sitting there on a wealth of evidence, a treasure trove of evidence that says that you absolutely can do it, but you're not acknowledging it. You're not acknowledging it. And that's the problem, right? That's the problem that all of us have, that we're not recognizing it because, well, when that happened with the parking space, it was just luck. Or when I met my SP the first time, that was a coincidence. Or, you know, when I got the job promotion, it was because I worked really hard for it. Well, because your bridge takes into account your assumptions and beliefs. So yeah, if I believe in order to get a promotion, I got to work hard, then I've got to do that. If I believe I have to go to the gym in order to lose weight, then that's going to be my bridge. But it doesn't dismiss the fact that you have a successful manifestation right there, whether it was something that happened miraculously, which some of you do have miraculous ones as well, that I get really inspired by, you guys, really inspired. But some of you have some really cool ones, some really out there ones. Someone shared, and I put it on my website, go check it out. Thank you to you, darling. She shared that she'd manifested this really rare Pokemon card that was like $200 or $300. I mean, I didn't even know they were worth that much. But can you see, to put it to the test, and you see these things that happen that are just like, okay, this is, at what point does this stop being a coincidence? At what point can I start to see a pattern? At what point can I figure out what method really works for me, or what the feeling of the wish fulfilled actually feels like? You know what it's like, right? There's two reasons for doing this. I want you to stop ignoring your power. So when you actually acknowledge your success, you're not ignoring your power anymore. It doesn't matter if at the moment you're not where you wish to be. You have been a success, right? If you're feeling like a failure now, then it means that you have success already, right? And you were successful. This is how we understand the difference between success and failure, right? So when you start to articulate your success, no matter how big or small you deem it to be, you're forced to claim it. Secondly, I get you to share it so that you stop being a student and you become part of the evidence. You contribute to a mastermind of proof. This is the reason the success ratio on this channel is so damn high, considering how small our numbers are, right? It's because we're building a collective case file here that is going to shape your belief around this, is going to give you the faith that you need, is going to give you the confidence to occupy the state, to go for your dreams and goals. That's what we're all about. You're all becoming indestructible, and that's my aim with you. So when you create your Alchemist logbook, your first task, after that little pep talk, your first task is to go back and excavate your past. I want you to document every small or big win that you've ever dismissed. You're far richer in proof that any of you have allowed yourself to be. I can guarantee you that. And that's why so many of you get surprised when I talk to you and I dissect your situation and your past. And I congratulate you on what an incredible achievement you've made. Some of them are actually stunned, and then they realize, it's like, oh my God, how did I miss that? Don't be one of them. So I want to just give you an understanding with why we're doing this and going back to the past. Why is this process so devastatingly effective? Why does this work? And it's because you're weaponizing essentially the observer effect. You're going against the totality of your own timeline, and you're conducting an audit of your past, which is making you collapse history and just see yourself as a success, right? It's not that you were a success in the past, you're a success now. That's why I keep saying to you guys, you're a success now. So if you take from your past and you write it down as a deliberate creation, that's going to rewrite the evidence file in your subconscious mind. Right, now I've logged a causative act. This is my success. And then I realize as I observe this, that, you know, I'm creating this. I've suddenly got this undeniable stream of data that proves that the only cause here is me. And if you want to be more precise, okay, this is how you would do it. You would start to jot down and to journal in your alchemist logbook or your book of law. You're going to write it down in a specific sort of way. Well, we're not going to stick rigid to the rules, but we're going to say, for example, conduct that full historical audit of every coincidence, of every stroke of luck, right? Okay, on this particular date or time, you might not even remember it, but on this particular time, you know, I got a free cup of coffee. What did I do? What do I remember? Was I in a happy mood? Did I just sort of think about it? Did I decree it? Maybe I manifested front row seats at a concert, right? Think back to that. Okay, well, did I believe at the time that I could? Did I just dare to imagine that I was in front of the concert? Maybe I inadvertently saw myself at the concert. See, because you've all been manifesting before you even knew about the law as well. So it doesn't matter if this was something that you did before you became a conscious creator. I just want to make that clear. But the more proof that you can accumulate, the more confidence you're going to build in yourself. That's why it's so important. It's the reason why Joseph and myself are confident. Although I don't log it in the same way, especially as meticulously and detailed as he does, I've realized the benefit of that in seeing how he works. And for me, my evidence is surrounded by me, right? My house, even my living room, like this was my free decorated living room. I had imagined it. My car didn't even exist when I set the intention for it. My SP, like Joseph, you know, there he is. So I've got all these reminders that this is always us, we're always the cause. Now I'm going to go into step 2, and this is my sort of anyway technique, if you want to call it, right? Just this, the anyway technique. So afterwards, after every successful imaginal session, you're going to have made an entry in your log as well. And I want you to do that too. I want you to consider, for example, that even your imaginal act or every meditation or hypnosis or imaginal act that you've gone into, everyone that you've gone into that felt good, that got you to feel it real, even if it was just for a few minutes where you felt it without doubt, without fear, without anything blocking you, I want you to jot that down also as evidence and proof of success. Even when you go through your day-to-day, and the reason I'm being so detailed about this first step is simply an observation that I've made with my clients too. They're so busy looking at everything that isn't working. They're surrounded by success. They don't recognize it. So, okay, just for the sake of it, you know, anyway, I'm just going to decide to write down that I managed to do this. I'll consider it a success anyway, even if it's not the end, right? This is why it's my sort of anyway principle, right? It's just like, yeah, well, anyway, it might not be my SP coming back, you know, bowing down and wanting to marry me or whatever, but today I actually noticed that my thoughts in relation to my SP are more positive, right? That's my evidence. Things are working. That's my success. I'm going to write that down. Do you see? Because now you're going to build up momentum for progress towards success rather than still no movement. Yeah, I feel a bit better, but actually, why is that? And am I forgetting my SP? Maybe they're not going to come back. You see, We're keeping on top of our mindset. You're training a wild horse here. So step 2, let's go into that principle of powering through, and this is an important one, powering through doubt and discomfort. Thank you, Joseph, for leaving your phone on. So anyway, you have your proof book and you've been jotting it down, you've been meticulously documenting the success of your imaginal acts, the success of your past, everything is great. And you're going to start to imagine your wishes being fulfilled, right? Because you've got new desires. We're not just extracting from the past and making ourselves feel good. We've got new states to embody. We've got new desires to inhabit, right? So you're doing it. However, your mind and your body and your thoughts start to scream in protest. And then you've suddenly got that feeling of fakeness smack hitting you. You've got the anxiety, the awkwardness, the discomfort just overwhelming you. How many of you get that? And then because of that, you then get this very critical moment during this crossroads where most people at this point give up, or they resort to really forceful techniques and give themselves mental health conditions and OCD and stuff from constant repetition of mindless techniques because they're freaking out and they're still feeling bad. It still feels fake. So then you start questioning yourself as well. Well, this means it isn't working. Why am I failing at this? So I go into the next video, look for the next hack. And then I've got this skepticism about it all, skepticism in myself, in the law, in the imaginal act. And it becomes so strong, you start to think that, okay, this skepticism is now blocking the whole thing. So you step away, questioning yourself, beating yourself up, and putting yourself into this downward spiral where you almost feel debilitated, I should think, and quite stuck. How many of you are in this position? Well, like I say, do not worry, because let's reframe it like I always do, the queen of reframing here. Let's reframe it. What if your conscious skepticism is completely irrelevant to the outcome? I know, I said it. But what if it is, right? What if the universal subconscious mind responds to impression of the scene itself and not to your loud, obnoxious, conscious doubt? I mean, there is evidence to prove that is the case, right? So this is where we must talk about this principle of, let's bring doubt along for the ride, bring discomfort along for the ride, make discomfort your friend, call it whatever you want. But it's important to do that. And it reminds me as well, many of you would have seen it, I posted it on my community post. Did you see that? And I'm posting more things on my community posts. But it was a screenshot of an email that I'd received. It was a lady who had watched my videos, had watched Joseph, and I think you had purchased a imaginal scene from Joseph, wasn't it, Han? And her situation, as she outlines in the email, and like I say, I will post the rest of her email on my website. But the reason I didn't post the whole thing is because she did specify to me that there was a few things like key dates and locations she wanted me to omit for reasons of privacy. So I respect that. I will put the rest of it up so you can see. But essentially the story was that she had gotten divorced from her husband. So there they were, split up, divorced, zero evidence of reconciliation. Her confidence was obviously on the floor. She was in a bad place, as you would be. And so everything felt very, very hopeless. And that's when she came across us. And that's, of course, when she bought this specific imaginal act from Joseph. And I don't know if she bought one or if she bought a couple, but whatever. I think she was in that sort of place of she was so lost that it was hard for her to even construct a scene that she could use to occupy her end state. And she did admit, when you look at her email, she said that she was very skeptical and she was apologetic about that. Now that's okay. I'm actually glad that she said that, because again, it's proof. It's proof that she didn't have to have blind faith that it would work, right? She obviously didn't believe it, or at least she was obviously very doubtful and she was questioning it. But what she did, and this is the key to everything, pay attention, what she did was that she pushed aside her doubt and her skepticism for that moment, and she did it anyway. I know. What the audacity, right? She was basically just brazen enough to put it all aside. she just followed the instructions anyway. She allowed the scene to just take her away despite that disbelief. She had that brazen audacity, and it was that allowed this situation to do a complete 180, where they're now happily reunited. And she saw some amazing synchronicities. I think there was elements, or quite a few elements of the scene that was replicated in real life, which I have to admit, I don't always experience that. I don't always experience exact replication, but she did. I often get that as well with people who come to me for services like hypnosis. This client recently she had so much doubt about her situation could turn around. Again, she thought it was impossible. She called it her impossible SP story. Again, I always take that with a pinch of salt. You guys always seem to think things are impossible in your life, right? Everything is possible. But she decided to put aside her qualms with hypnosis because I think she had had bad experiences in the past, or at least non-effective experiences in the past. She put her doubts aside. She put aside the fact that she'd been trying so long without any result. And we did it. We just went into a put her into a hypnotic trance. She went through the scene in her mind. We helped her to embody the state. She did it anyway. And after like a couple of sessions, actually, I said to her last time I spoke to her, you know who you are, darling. That she was just like, I don't even recognize myself. People don't even recognize me anymore. She was getting that confirmation. We've had a few people even on the Discord when I do the group hypnosis. That one of the girls in there was saying that her father even said to her recently, this is amazing. You've changed so much, because she reconnected with what was possible for her. She reconnected and she awoke that version of her where she could have this specific outcome. Her and her SP are not completely back together yet. But considering where she was, with absolutely no contact and communication, to now where they are reconnecting, rekindling, he's saying nice things to her, he's saying he missed her and stuff, just because she just dared to assume it despite everything that had happened, So you've got to think of, when you go into your imaginal act, whatever it might be, I want you to label the initial discomfort and disconnect that you feel as cognitive dissonance, because that's what it is. Understand that's all it is. It's the neurological signal that you are stretching your reality, you're stretching the boundaries. So when people feel the discomfort and they start to question it and they start to feel paranoid about it, if you actually see it as, there's the cognitive dissonance, right? I'm not going to fight against it, right? I'm not going to keep fighting it and persisting to press this. I'm just going to realize what it is, that it's not about failure, that what it is, it's me impressing my subconscious mind, and that's the first steps to it. I don't need to believe in everything and believe completely that it's possible. When you plant a seed into the ground, which I know is the popular analogy for this, but when you're planting a seed into the ground, you don't believe in the laws of botany with every fiber of your being that seed is going to grow, do you? You just plant it correctly in the right soil and trust that it's taken care of. And I want you guys to see that when you go into your imaginal scene, that is the seed. And then that state that you put yourself in, whether it's the state akin to sleep, whether it's a state of trance or immense relaxation, that there is you preparing the fertile soil for this seed to be planted. And if you see your doubts that arise, the discomfort that comes your way that makes you question things, if you just see that as passing clouds in the sky, then you realize, okay, if you pass in clouds, it's not going to make a blind bit of difference to my end result. So this is how you do it, okay? So I'm going to give you how to do it now. How to, embody this principle of just bring doubt along for the ride. So every time the discomfort and the doubt arises, like I say, you acknowledge it and you just say, there's the sort of death rattle of the old version of me, my old identity. Excellent. I give my skepticism a seat in the car, but I'm not going to give it the keys to drive. I'm just going to accept that it's there for the ride. My only job is to just perform the act, sit in the chair, close my eyes, feel the scene, regardless of the peanut gallery of doubt that is screaming in my head at the moment. Because what I'm choosing to do in that moment, choosing to believe in the power of my imagination, because I understand how these principles work, and I'm choosing to favor a new state of being, even though it feels foreign, even though it feels uncomfortable. I'm just going to do it anyway. That right there is the That right there, that level of audacity is what manifests. Have you got it? Now, step 3 is really, really important. Step 3 is what I call this imaginative launch pad. So what we're going to do is we're going to engineer your believability in your scene, right? Because let's be real. We're not going to pole vault over the Grand Canyon now, are we? You know, we must first build a bridge, right? So if my ultimate desire is feeling too vast from where I stand at the moment, it's too unbelievable right now, you know, then trying to force myself to sit in it is going to cause an immense amount of cognitive dissonance, right? And it's going to really affect my confidence, especially if it's just so foreign to me from where I stand right now. So what you have to do is you have to find your imaginative launch pad. And this is why it works, right? Because the subconscious mind accepts what feels natural and believable. So if you're starting off with a scene that is a component, say, of your end state, but it feels more accessible to you, then you can kind of build momentum with a more genuine inner conviction. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to create a stepping stone that's not going to just trigger your inner skeptic into a full-blown revolt. And this is how you do it. You're going to sit with yourself and you're going to ask yourself, what is the version of my desire that I can confidently and comfortably embody right now, today, where I stand? If, for example, right, my very end goal is to be a multimillionaire, have my own private yacht and island and all the rest of it, but currently, right now, where I stand in reality, I'm on the other end of the spectrum, i.e. loads of debt, can barely afford to feed and clothe myself, and I've got the bailiffs knocking on my door. Then my launch pad isn't going to be the yacht or me on my private island. Do you see what I mean? I mean, it could be. If you can do that, great. Like I said, I think for majority for us, even for myself, if I'm honest with you, it feels so far-fetched. Maybe after a while it wouldn't actually, but certainly when I was at my worst, yeah, all I wanted when I was in a state of despair and I didn't know if I was going to be able to pay my mortgage the following month, all I really wanted was stability and, you know, feeling abundant, right? So my imaginal launch pad in that case, okay, so it's not going to be the yacht, then it's just going to be imagining myself debt-free, that peace, right? That calm, that lightness, for example. Was go on to your specific person. I mean, many of the time actually, every specific person that I had manifested, say the ones that were my exes that I wanted back, I never actually imagined marriage with them. For those of you who know, I guess marriage to me was something way out there, was something I didn't really connect to. And although that would be a representation of real solidarity, there was other ways for me to embody that without going to that particular end. Because me celebrating, well, my marriage and my anniversary with my SP, particularly my first one, with everything that we'd been through, and him at that time being with a third party, living far away, animosity between us, turbulent sort of history, it was a little bit too far. So I just decided that my imaginal launch pad was going to be just very simply feeling him sort of, you know, loving and missing me and feeling connected, you know, choosing me, adoring me, us being together in that sort of just a stable feeling, whatever that might be, whether it's a scene that he's telling me that he loves me or that we're just embracing in a soothing hug, or I know that everything's worked out. You're finding a feeling, this is what you're essentially doing. You're finding a feeling that is both expansive, but at the same time has still got an element of believability for you. And you're going to stabilize at that point until that becomes your new normal. That's going to become your foundation from which you then build the rest of your palace. So this is not to be confused, by the way, with manifesting piecemeal. I'm not saying, yes, okay, if you can't manifest, if you're not thinking of the relationship, like the relationship and being married to your SP is too far away, manifest the text, that feels more believable. No. Do not get that confused, right? You're always going to your end, but you're using a scene that doesn't feel as far-fetched, right? Okay, I might not have the private island, but I certainly have a scene that implies, a feeling that implies debt-free financial abundance, right? That's a bit more believable, right? That's not so distant from me. Does that make sense? So just to be crystal clear with all of this, and I hope that you've been writing some notes on those 3 very detailed steps. But like I say, if you partake in it, without a doubt, it's an absolute game changer. Because you need to understand that your confidence is not just going to fall out of the sky. It's not a gift that's just going to appear, right? It's actually a trophy that all of you earn from the internal fires of your forged being, you know, from your years of experiences, whether you knew it or not, from trying it, from testing it. That's how we've always built confidence. Your confidence never came first, it always came afterwards. So stop giving yourself a hard time if you're not feeling confident about it right now. It doesn't matter. How about do some tests? What kind of things are you guys going to test out? Let me know in the comments. I want to know what kind of things you're manifesting. Those of you who have emailed me about one-to-one consultations, please as well keep in mind, I respond to every single one of you, but I get hundreds of emails, so give me at least 4 days maximum. And if you don't hear from me, message me again, and chances are I've emailed you back, but it could have gone into your spam folder if you haven't heard from me. So please check there if you are needing that one-to-one support. I love you guys. Go, enjoy. It's kind of an on and off beautiful day. It's probably really messed up the lighting in this video. Oh well. But I love you all. Thank you again for your support, and I'll see you in the next video.